YouTube. This is Justin, and this is a Demonic Sweaters production. Today I'm going to be basically just making some music and taking you guys along for the ride. Now, a few months ago, I recorded a video where I talked about how you could record a song in Audacity using an Alesis Nitro Mesh drum kit, or any electronic drum kit, really. And so I recorded a song basically for the purpose of that video, but I ended up really liking the song, and so I've been having this on the back burner where I wanted to kind of expand upon it and just do a little more to it and improve it a little bit. And I was thinking about that today, and I was like, well, I might as well make a video about this because I think some of the stuff I'm going to be doing here might be useful for some of you guys to watch. Basically, since the original tutorial was all done in Audacity, what I'm going to do is actually either export, I haven't decided yet, but either export a mix down of the, like a rough mix of the track from Audacity without the drums, and put it into Ableton and then record some new drums using my Alesis Nitro Mesh, but with the MIDI output, and use the recent multi-layered samples that I created of my original drum kit, which you can also check out a link for that video down below if you like. So what I'm trying to say is I'm going to replace all of the electronic sounds with my own drum samples and have me really play the drums there. And I also kind of want to add some keyboards and maybe some other stuff in this song as well. If I did it that way, if I exported a rough mix out of Audacity into Ableton, then I would have to export my drum track from Ableton and import it back into Audacity and overdub the remaining stuff there and do all the mix there. Since Audacity isn't as powerful as Ableton, what I might do is actually export all of the original tracks, like one by one, from Audacity, import them into Ableton, and then be able to do the entire mix there, as well as add new stuff to the song if I want. I think now that I just said it out loud, the latter is probably what I'm going to do, which is export the tracks out of Audacity and then put them all into Ableton, then record the new drums, and then see what else I could do with the song after that. So what I'm going to do now is actually I'm going to take you step by step through how I'm going to do all this. Let's go into Audacity, and then I'm going to work on exporting those tracks first and then getting them into Ableton. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to have to do actually is make myself a cup of coffee. And it doesn't look like I have quite enough there from this morning to heat that up, so I'm going to have to make a fresh one. And I just opened a brand new fresh thingy of Folgers Classic Roast, my favorite coffee. And let's go ahead and prepare the scoop. And I love this Ninja coffee maker. This thing is like great. My sister got it for me for my birthday. And let's see, I'm doing a cup. So let's do 2 to 3. I like to do 2.5. And coffee is probably one of the most important things to my daily routine, if not the most important thing. It's got this awesome little single cup maker thing. And just turn it on here, select single cup. And do I want to do XL? Is that XL? Yeah, I think that's XL. Let's go ahead and press classic, because I'm a classic kind of guy. And there it goes. Okay, so here is the completed mixed track so far, mixed song within Audacity. And if you want to check out the other videos leading up to this point, I'll post links down below that I did a few months ago. And it sounds pretty good as is. I'll just play back a little bit of it. And I actually made a video of me playing along to this live when I was recording it, so a lot of stuff there to check out, a lot of content. But anyway, yeah, I think it sounds good, but the drums, I'm using the built-in Alesis Nitro Mesh sounds, which I do think sound pretty good, and they sound pretty fitting for this song, but since I created my new sample pack, I really like the way that it sounds, and I want to try it, using it in this song and see if I like it better than what I already did. I may not, we'll see. But there's no way to know until I actually try it. So, like I was saying before, what I'm going to do is export all the individual tracks, which really there's not that many. There's just 2 guitar tracks and a bass track. There's the drum tracks here, and all these extra tracks were basically the original dry tracks before I did any mixing or effects on them. And I did a few different mixes of this song and then ended up liking, this is the third mix that I did. You can see demo 3 right there that I like the best. So I ended up going with this one. So what I'm going to do, basically just cut to the chase here. So I'm going to go to export and then go to export multiple. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select wave files, signed 16-bit. For those of you that wonder, I always record in CD quality, which is 44, 100 kilohertz, 16-bit. And the reason why I do it that way and not something higher is because a lot of times I use multiple audio interfaces, and one of them that I use to use all 4, it's an older Alesis IO4. The maximum quality that it can record at is CD quality when you're using all 4 inputs. It will record at 24-bit, but that's only if you're using 2 inputs. So I always record on 16-bit, and plus just cross-compatibility if I'm using different computers, laptops, interfaces. It's always going to work if you record everything at 16-bit, 44, 100 kilohertz. Now, some people may think that that's not high enough quality. To me, I think it sounds great. And all CDs, well, not even just, nobody listens to CDs really anymore, but all MP3s that you listen to, that you stream, that you download are all going to be CD quality. So if you record at CD quality right from the beginning, there's no real reason to change anything. That's the way I look at it. So anyway, select export multiple, and let's select my folder that I'm going to export to. And I'm probably going to have to make something here. Let's go into my Ableton. Well, first my recordings folder. So let's create a folder here. Go to new folder. And we'll do Umbrella Sky Stems. Select that folder and split files based on tracks, and then all this should be fine. You can leave the numbering on there if you want, and then just do export, and it's going to export all the individual tracks. And of course I don't really need the drum tracks, but that's okay. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so sorry about the handheld footage here, but since I'm now set up for recording, I can't really do the screen capture because I have to use the low latency driver, and all of that won't work with the screen capture. So anyway, now what I did is I set up a project in Ableton, and well, actually I haven't saved it yet, so let's go ahead and do that. And what I did is I made 3 tracks here, 1 for bass and 2 for guitar, just audio tracks. I deleted the MIDI tracks for now. And now I just need to import those tracks that I already did. So I'm going to go into timeline view and then find them here in my file browser. Hopefully you guys can see that. And let's just find them here in the list. And I'm just going to drag each corresponding track over to, or each corresponding file rather, over to the tracks that I created for them. So there's guitar 1, guitar 2, and then bass. One thing I'm not sure why sometimes when you do this, Ableton by default deactivates some of the tracks, so you just have to right click it and then, well, they just came on. Sometimes you have to click activate, but they just did on their own that time. Now another thing you're probably going to want to do when you do this is go into each individual track and make sure you turn off warping, because otherwise it's going to try to time correct each channel or each imported track, and they should already be correct. Since I did both at the same BPM, a lot of times that will actually make it off time if you have warp on. So if it sounds off with the click, then do that. All right, so another thing you're going to want to make sure to do if you are trying to listen to the MIDI while you're actually playing, you're going to want to make sure you have the lowest latency possible in your audio settings. If you go in here to your preferences, and let me zoom in on mine so you can see. If I go into my hardware setup, and that'll bring up my ASIO for all control panel, you can see that I have it all the way down to 128 samples. And this gives me a very, very low latency, down to 8.62 milliseconds, right there. And that makes it to where I can actually play the drums and listen to the MIDI at the same time. If you can't get your latency down that low, what I would suggest doing is recording audio and MIDI at the same time and monitor your audio so you can play on time and it doesn't mess you up. And then when you go back in the mix, then you can mess around with the MIDI. But if you try to monitor yourself playing the MIDI and you have really like a lot of lag in the latency, it's going to make you mess up and you're not going to be able to play very well because it'll sound off time. So anyway, just wanted to mention that. Now I got it set up the way I like it. The drums are sounding good, so I'm going to go ahead and try to record a track. Okay, so I got some new MIDI drums recorded with my Alesis Nitro Mesh, and I think it sounds pretty good. One little problem I had was when I went to record the track, I realized that originally I generated a click track within Audacity, and since Audacity, well, I'm guessing this is why, Audacity doesn't really have a true grid feature. You can just generate clicks. And so the click, even though I remembered what BPM I used, which was 96 BPM, when I went into Ableton and was recording the drums, the click was on time, but it just sounded a little weird, like a little bit off. And then I tried moving it up and down like tiny percentages to see if I could match it up better. And the thing was, is it did line up, but the click just sounded kind of off in some parts and not off in other parts, but like not horrible, but enough to where it was annoying. So I don't know. When I get into the mix, I'll see if it sounds too weird. Like if the drums don't sound consistent enough, then I might just switch back to using the original ones and doing the mix and everything in Audacity itself. But I think it sounds good enough to continue working. And I don't want to switch over to the screen capture just yet because I'm going to record some keyboard, and I still need my low latency driver on there to do that. Once I record all the tracks that I want to record, then I'll come back to the screen capture so you guys can hear it as well as see how we can do the mix. So anyway, I'm going to continue working on this and be back in a few minutes. All right, so I got all the tracks recorded that I wanted to record, and I've got to say, this song is so weird. It's way weirder than it was before. I mean, it was weird already, but now it is just really, really weird. But I am loving it because I'm a big weirdo, and this is just right up my alley. So I'm definitely going to keep the new drums. I think they sound, once I got all the other stuff in there, it kind of, I put in some other rhythm tracks, and it kind of tightened everything up. So, however, you may listen to this and be like, what are you doing? Like, because it is weird, forewarned. Okay, I'm going to play a little bit. There's definitely some mixing that needs to go on here, but I'll just play you how it sounds right now. Let's look at the timeline view. Solo those drums so you can hear how those sound. Here's the replaced drums, and all I put on them so far was a compressor, which is over here somewhere. Did I put a compressor? I thought I did. The stupid screen recorder thing is in the way. There we go. Oh yeah, there we go. So yeah, those are my drum samples that my last video upload where I showed you how I made those. And I did fix the cymbal problem that I was talking about in that video. Not to get off track, but
basically it was the way that I thought I could do it at the end of the video by using multiple, reassigning the notes here. But anyway, have to go back and watch that video to understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so that weird like C6 sounding lead there is actually two things, and it's kind of the theme throughout the song. It's one is my K1, my Kawai K1 synth. Now I used MIDI here, but I don't need to have that MIDI track there because I also recorded the audio from the synth. So the MIDI is kind of just there. Actually, I can delete this track. It doesn't really matter. Might as well delete it because I'm not going to be using it. So save. Hopefully I didn't delete anything I really needed, but I don't think I did. So the K1, which is the Kawai synth. Let me go back to the beginning and zoom in a bit. So this and the second guitar are basically both doing that weird C6 sounding lead. And I think it is just a bit too loud, maybe from the guitar sound, or let me pan them a little bit more too. I want to have a little more separation between the two. It's mostly the guitar that's too loud. Okay, that sounds better. Now, one thing you'll notice, I'm touching the red here on the master. That's okay. It's not like fully in the red. And usually what I do is I just put a limiter on there just to keep it from clipping. But I don't want to like push it with the limiter. I usually do that later in the mastering to make it loud or whatever. But like just a little bit. It's like more of a protection limiter I just put on there. But I disable it a lot of times, like when I'm doing, like if it starts to sound too compressed or weird when I'm mixing, I'll disable it and then turn it back on once I get a, because sometimes what will happen is you have all your levels up too high. You'll end up pushing the limiter too hot, and then it'll be impossible to get a good mix. So let's go back to the beginning again. Now, sorry to stop again. But all of my original tracks, like bass, guitar 1, guitar 2, they were all already mixed on the Audacity project. So when I bounced them out of that project, they were already at a good level of each other. That's not to say I might not adjust those some more, but right now that's why those 3 are up all the way, because they're basically already a good level. Okay, so there's something I want different about that piano sound there, and that is also the K1, and it's like a really, really cheesy sounding piano sound, but that was intentional. I just like that cheesiness. And a lot of the stuff in this song, like, if you're not familiar with my music, like I have a love for really cheesy sounding things, which is why I like, and I just like weird kind of things that sound almost normal, but there's something about them that's just not right. And I think this track might be one of the best examples of that I've ever done. There's a lot of slowly bending notes that just give you kind of an uneasy feeling while you're listening to it, and I don't know. Anyway, so this piano sound, there's something that I want to change there, but I don't really know what it is. I want to loop it first so I can kind of just hear it over and over again, and I can just play with different things. So I'm just going to loop that like that. And right now I think I have like a chorus on there. What am I looking at? I'm looking at the wrong thing. There we go. I'm going to disable the chorus. Actually, I might like it better without the chorus. So I'll get rid of that. Try a little slap back delay, maybe. Not exactly what I was thinking. I have to look at my VSTs. Maybe a spring reverb. Hold on. There's this devil spring. Sometimes this makes everything crash, though, so I better save. Edit window is not popping up on it. No, I'm gonna do it here. No, not loving that. Too much. That's kind of interesting. Let me hear what that sounds like in the mix. Kind of like that. Bring it up a little bit. All right, let's go with that. Turn off the loop. All right, I want to start in the beginning again. Rearrange my tracks in a more logical order here. And for the guitar sounds, I use Guitar Rig. case you were wondering. Thought about only having that lead for the first phrase and then stopping it and letting the rhythms play out by themselves without the lead, but I'm not sure. I kind of like it going through the whole thing. But it might be more effective if I do it less. Okay, I'm gonna save this, and then I'm gonna do save as alternate. And then I'm gonna work on doing what I was just saying, like basically cutting out some of those leads. Just a little extra thing there that I don't need. So first off, let me find where they all are. Zoom out. It's only on electric guitar 2 and the first K1, which is right here. Okay, so I can minimize all these other tracks. So these two are the ones I'm talking about. So what I'm gonna have to do is create splits. Basically where I want to do it, which I think. Yeah, so I want the full phrase to go through for each one. So let me zoom in. And then I'm gonna have to cut it like right around here. So, and then we'll go to split, and then split here as well. You can always do Control E. Okay, and then let's take this up to there, and this up to here, and let's hear how that first one sounds. And let me trim off this little tiny section here, or it'll be weird. So to do that, I have to turn off snap, which is also Control 4, but I can just do that. Okay. I think it's still snapped. There we go. This, though, I'm going to have to fade that out because, well, let's hear how it sounds. Yeah, I'm going to have to fade that. So, let's do a volume fade right here. Just like that. Let me hear it from the beginning. Yeah, I kind of like that better already. So I'm going to have to do the same thing up here. Maybe leave it there? Yeah, second verse, I think I'll leave it. Doesn't have to be different, or it doesn't have to be the same every time. I'm very happy with the way those drums sound. And this one, I'll do the edit. Actually, I don't even need to clip it. I can just use the volume fades. That's easier. Let's bring that down. That down. See how that sounds. Maybe leave it in again here, like I did the first time. So it is kind of an overall pattern now. There is a guitar solo coming up at the end that was kind of improvised at the moment. Right here. Okay, so for that, I do want to take that and put it on a different track so I can change the sound of that solo and pan at center. So, well, yeah, the easiest way to do this is just to split it first here, Control E, and then I can just drag it down to a new track. Now, I'm going to have to create a new track first, so undo that. Insert audio track. Let's rename this to solo, or guitar solo, G solo. Now I can take that down to here. Should have turned snap back on. Let's turn that back on. What is it, Control 4? I believe so. Yep. But I want to snap to the track, not the grid. Just redo all of this. if I cut it from the grid, then I can snap it to the grid, and that'll work. So take it down to, where'd it go? Why is it 9 audio now? Oh, well, whatever. Because I undid that. Okay, so. Alright, that's just totally dry. And being the weird me, I kind of like it just totally dry like that. I mean, by all accounts, this sounds awful, but at the same time, it's kind of cool. Let me just hear that again. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it like that. And I know a lot of you may be watching this be like, this is the weirdest song and this is the worst mix, but I assure you it's all intentional. So I know it's not for everybody, but maybe you like it. If you like it, hey, you're one of my kind. But I love music that has, cleverness and a sense of humor to it too, without being like too goofy. Like, well, some really goofy, like Ween, I thought were a great band. They were really goofy, but hilarious and really good. Saw them live too, and they were awesome. But anyway, yeah, I think that's gonna be it for this. I may do some final touches on it, but this video is getting like insanely long at this point. But I just wanted to show you all of this. So here it is. I just had these ideas and thought it'd be cool to share them with you. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Click the bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a new video. And that actually does work. I've gotten notified when I do that to other people's videos. So I know some people say it doesn't work, but I think it does. It does for me anyways. But anyway, I'll be back soon with some more videos. And thanks for watching, everybody. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. See ya. Oh, another thing before I go. This song is actually going to be on a new compilation on Ant Hill Recordings, my record label. It's just anthillrecordings.bandcamp.com. I'll post a link to that in one of the places where there's links. And it's going to have this and a lot of other stuff on there. Some really great music by Ronan Conroy, Charlie Nealon, Subtle People, Echoscape, Hums, me. That was actually a Minnesota track, but there's going to be several iterations of the stuff I do. Minnesota, Demonic Sweaters, Justin Robert, which is like the ambient stuff. So hopefully I didn't... Timo Ellis is going to be on it as well from the band Netherlands. So going to be a lot of good stuff on there. So pretty soon, I would say in the next week or so, that comp should be out. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and have a great, great day. Bye.